Thank you, Eric, for such a great introduction. And I am so excited to be sharing the Champion Mindset stage with all these great masters and legends, such as Mr. Les Brown, Coach Nick Bollettieri, and Mr. Brian Tracy, along with the many speakers who have all joined us this weekend and have come together to provide valuable information and opportunities for growth in both personal and professional development. In my counseling and program development, I focused on topics such as overcoming stress, addiction, work-life balance. And as a matter of fact, many of you are experiencing working from home, juggling tasks with your kids, or possibly even caring for an elderly parent, such as I am doing today. I'm taking care of my 92-year-old mother, along with expanding my business, continuing my education, and utilizing the power of the internet for virtual seminars such as this one today. And it takes work, accountability, and discipline, as we all aspire to improve our lives, and in turn, it allows us to inspire others to grow and succeed. You see, I'm not here to talk at you. I'm here to speak with you and to let you know that you are not alone on this journey, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But in order for us to change and achieve success, we must recognize our mindset, improve our skills and abilities, and allow for help every now and then. And as you will see in this presentation and in my workshops, that I am just like you, working to help others create a better life for themselves and for their families. So back to my presentation. I also focused on establishing healthy relationships, mindfulness, communication, and awareness of the emotional guidance system. There was so much experiential learning that took authoring 3 books to bring all of this to the forefront. And yes, I am the author of Bridging the Gap, a Parent's Guide, Bridging the Gap, an Educator's Guide, and of course, The Resume of Life, Becoming Consciously Aware through Spirit, Mind, and Body. And if you'd like to find out more about me, you can go to IamTerryJWalker.com, or you can find me on Facebook at InspireAndMotivate.im. Today, I want to speak with you about a bridging the gap between parents and educators for the self-enhancement and the socialization of our children. If you are a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, or even an early child educator, please listen up, because this program has been developed especially for you. Bridging the Gap training provides education, tools, and techniques that you will be able to implement immediately. And many have asked me, what is your definition of bridging the gap? Well, my response has always been the same to everybody. It's to provide a unified point of connection towards improving communication, understanding, and mindfulness between people and or groups of people, and in order to achieve successful results. In other words, let's bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be. So now, what am I going to discuss today is actually an age-old problem facing our families that is more relevant today than ever before. When I was an adolescent intensive probation officer, I provided individual, family, and group counseling. And my passion for family and kids led me to help develop a community education program for children and teens. The program provided healthy educational life skills as an alternative to getting into trouble, abusing drugs, and dealing with depression. And after receiving my master's degree in educational psychology and counseling, I actually began working inpatient mental health. As I worked on the front lines with kids who had been in trouble with the law, addiction, abuse, depression, and many with borderline intellectual functioning, I was able to develop a few simple, creative ways to bridge the gap. And I'm going to share those with you now. So grab a pen and write this down because I don't want you to miss any of this. There are a few common themes that I found while working with children and families. And those were: there is difficulty establishing healthy relationships. Trust issues are a way of life. Poor communication skills are a root cause. And exhibiting feelings of anger, stress, anxiety, depression are a child's way of reaching out. And you need to recognize that. I also found lack of accountability, poor coping and socialization skills that weren't just always our children's issues, if you know what I mean. So, let's get into a few of the techniques and skills that everyone working with children need to be aware of today. Improved ways and techniques toward establishing healthy relationships and a healthy environment. Implementing improved communication and the art of active listening. For example, how many of us actually take the time today to pick up the phone and speak to the person on the other end rather than sending a text or an emoji? On the other hand, how often do we actually stop what we're doing on the computer or watching television or social media and actually take the time to listen to our child, our friend, our colleague, or even our family member and what they may be trying to convey to us? That would be the art of active listening, because it is an art to actively listen and focus on what someone is trying to convey. And as you know, with technology today, we have drifted further and further away from effective forms of communication. We've also fallen into habits that actually end up disempowering us and formulate our beliefs around those feelings of disempowerment. And many of us today have habits and thoughts of negativity that we tend to focus on what's wrong instead of what's right. In other words, we exhibit feelings of low self-worth, fear of the unknown, and we have that I can't mentality. Again, I'll revert back to those common themes that I just mentioned earlier. Abuse, bullying, stress, depression, and violence, they're all on the rise with our kids today. And with COVID-19 and intermittent online learning, we're all flying by the seat of our pants. After working on the front lines with our families, educators, and children, I often ask myself, what are we missing? What is happening with our children during those early years? I hope you didn't put that pen down. If so, grab it again and write these questions down and take some time to think about your answers. I may go too quick for you, so if so, write this part down first. Terry, Terry, at IamTerryJWalker.com, and I'll send you these questions. Do we feel it's uncool to question our kids or discuss their feelings? What impact is social media playing on how we express our feelings or effectively communicate? What effects is online intermittent education having on our socialization and self-esteem of our children? What emotional effects is COVID-19 having on us, our jobs, our kids, and even our health? Are parents and educators communicating about their kids' progress or concerns? And how are we dealing with stress during all this change and confusion? We have so much stress and fear and confusion swirling around all of us today. School or no school, online education, lack of socialization, working from home, potential loss of job, financial issues, health, and yes, even relationship concerns. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most worried, I want you to rate these points and think about how it's not only affecting you as a parent or educator, but how it also is affecting your children. Oh yeah, I'll include those in that email too. With these thoughts in mind, how do we begin to bridge the gap? The best way to start bridging the gap is by being mindful of our thoughts, habits, actions, not only for us, but also for our children. So here's just a few insights from these powerful workshops, and yes, I'll include them in the email as well. Stages of development. What to do. What to expect. Role modeling and understanding how fear, stress, and anger shuts down opportunities for growth and learning. Implementation of clear communication and the art of active listening. And how to discuss feelings and implement the emotional guidance system. Encourage decision making and problem solving skills. Stress. What it does to the mind and the body, along with the techniques to overcome stressful situations for us and our kids. Power of role play and feedback, and building healthy, trusting relationships. I'll bet your mind's overflowing thinking, oh, how are we going to pull all this together? And trust me, I get it because I felt the same way too. But before I give you that answer, let me take a minute and show you what studies have actually identified. Children who experience extreme stress between the ages of 5 and 8 pose a higher risk of poor adult mental health, to include lower brain activity in the areas that are actually linked to motivation, positive moods, and depression. However, children who have a support system from one or more caring adults are able to overcome traumatic events more readily. So today, with COVID-19, uncertainty, confusion, and increased stress on our families and educators, we must understand how this is not only affecting us, but how it's affecting our children. And study after study has shown how it affects stress, fear, abuse, and change in the family dynamics, divorce, death, and financial loss has a profound effect on our children's learning, socialization, self-esteem, and development. And with ongoing continued stress, our children are more likely to have reduced impulse control, difficulty building healthy and trusting relationships, poor coping and communication skills, difficulty processing their feelings, a higher incidence of unhealthy behaviors such as substance abuse, promiscuity, and engaging in other risky behaviors. And all of this can even lead to physical health issues such as obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and yes, even suicidal ideations. So now for the solution. Bridging the Gap training. Bridging the Gap training consists of 3 consecutive 2-hour workshops that you can choose the one that solves your need at the moment, or you can sign up for all 3. So now it's time to take action. Go to bridgingthegaptraining.com and sign up for this course today. And when you get there, ask yourself, how much is it worth to bridge the gap with your children, with parents and educators? And then that choice to bridge the gap becomes yours. I still get chills every time I hear from my students that have attended these workshops and how it's changed their lives and the results were so long lasting. I want that for you, for your kids, and for your students. So if you haven't already signed up, take the first step and join us as we all work together towards bridging the gap. I am Terry J. Walker, and I am here to help you bridge the gap. And you can reach me at bridgingthegaptraining.com. I can't wait to meet you, to work with you, as we all begin working together towards bridging the gap.